Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo.
There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do?
I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault. A new series streaming now only on Peacock.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels. On everything from lamps to ceiling fans. Even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes. Now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox. Clean feels good.
Ladies and gentlemen, non-binary listeners, heroes and heroines, crooks and crookions, the Proclaimers. The audio performance you are about to enjoy discusses casinos and gambling. We do not recommend gambling with money you cannot afford to lose or that is needed to pay bills. If you have a gambling problem, contact your problem gambling hotline. If you do not know how to contact your problem gambling hotline, send an email to help@casinocombat.com. We will find that number for you and provide it to you. Our hosts' past performances are not indicative of anyone's future performance, including his own. All materials presented here are based on actual facts. Names and dates are changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. Some events unrelated to outcomes may be omitted in the interest of brevity and clarity. The contents of this episode are the property of Volcanic Dingo LLC. All rights reserved.
It's me, it's TRG, the Ramblin Gambler, just trying to make a living and doing the best I can. Welcome to episode 175 of our Casino Combat Podcast. As your podcast host, it is my honor and privilege to tell you that while the house always wins, that doesn't mean you have to lose. Let other people do that. You can beat the game of casino gambling. I know because I do it on a regular basis. Not only that, but the people that listen to this podcast and understand what I've taught do it on a regular basis as well. That's right. You don't have to believe one voice on the internet. There are at this point in the process many, many people who have done what I've taught and had the same results that I have had. And you are welcome to talk to any and all of them. If you need references, if you're listening to this and you're going, I call BS, TRG, I don't believe any of this, and you'd actually like to explore it, send me an email, trg@casinocombat.com. Spell combat with a K. Tell me you would like email addresses for real people who have done this, and I will provide those, and I assure you that people will be more than happy to share their stories with you and tell you what has worked for them out of what I have taught.
Lyrics, dude. Recite them some lyrics. Lyrics, dude. Recite them some lyrics.
Lyrics, I didn't look at the cut sheet. What are we doing, guys? What did Fred say? Oh, that makes sense. Good one, Billy. Good. That makes sense. The Proclaimers. Just have to paraphrase a little bit. Let's do Proclaimers. I would drive 500 miles and I would drive 500 more just to be the man who drove 500 miles and fell down at your door. That's a good one, guys. I would drive 500 miles to hang out with the squad. I just did, as a matter of fact. That's probably the biggest news from the Casino Combat Galaxy. Let's do news from the galaxy first. Late last week, the chatter on the Slack Virtual VIP Lounge was about Atlantic City Empress and Dr. East Coast Emissary, Inner Circle member, fourth to the ring, meeting Nakatomi Tony and perhaps some others for lunch on Tuesday. I knew NT had booked through Premier Casino hosting a room at Harris for Monday night to celebrate his birthday and collect 10 times tier credits from Caesars to finish reaching Diamond tier with them. I had booked Espresso King at a Caesars property on the boardwalk. Questing Scholar was going to be in town. Excelsior Brigade member Double Down 21 was going to be in town. I checked our schedule. Mrs. TRG would not be able to go. Her schedule would not allow it. But My schedule would allow me to do the 500-mile drive on Sunday, spend Monday and Tuesday with the squad in various ways, then drive home on Wednesday to work on IT items on Thursday and Friday. Nakatomi Tony suggested we make it a surprise for the other members of the squad. I talked to Mrs. TRG. She was a bit sad and frustrated that she would not be able to go, but she saw the logic of going to see Inner Circle and Excelsior Brigade members while earning 10 times tier credits and working toward our own diamond status. So I asked my bosses at PCH to set up a comp room for me at Harrah's, and I went on a wonderful solo adventure to surprise the squad. I'll lay out the battle plan for you in a moment, but it will include a travel segment to tell you about my time in Atlantic City, as well as to share the results of my gambling on the trip. If this is your first time listening to our podcast, as a squad, we can do things like hang out in VIP lounges in Atlantic City or go on week-long cruises with a private blackjack game because we know how to win the game of casino gambling. Many members of the squad know how to do that because I taught them, or we learned together is perhaps another way to say that. I've shown them a slightly different way of looking at casinos and gambling. If that interests you, stick around. We will be happy to teach you as well. If I was going to suggest a starting point, I'd suggest that after you finish listening to this episode, go to our website, casinocombat.com, go to the Fred section, download the flowcharts for TRG2, Always Be Grindin', and TRG4, Win More, Keep More. Click on the icons at the top and follow us on social media. Go to the YouTube channel, like and subscribe, and listen to the Boot Camp playlist. Camp is spelled with a K. Then listen to episodes 62, 63, and 64. At that point, you will have the basics you need to start your casino combat journey and become someone who wins the game of casino gambling. What else is going on in the casino combat galaxy? Boy, I should have made notes. Let's go. Let's do this. Lucky Drunk and Dr. ECE have been spending a lot of time digging into Ultimate Texas Hold'em. It's a low house advantage game. It just has a lot of volatility. ECE is working on a wagering process he calls continuous variable transmission. Very interesting stuff. And a big benefit of us working as a squad on various ways to beat the game of casino gambling. There are more people than just TRG and his big mouth involved in making this podcast and creating the things that get created. There's a whole research process that everyone is contributing to. It is a wonderful and amazing thing. Also, I just have to shout this out. Nakatomi Tony, who has lived near a major gambling center his entire life, started listening to this podcast thanks to an appearance I made on Same Bet's YouTube channel. He has applied the things we talk about here steadily over the past 18 months or so, earning status with 3 brands in Atlantic City. Along the way, we became very, very good friends. He now has comped parking, comped hotel stays. He just got an offer for comp tickets to an MMA fight that he and his son are going to attend. And just this morning, emailed me telling me that his wife told him they really need a new crock pot. And he got an email telling him he will be receiving a free crock pot in a few weeks just for showing up at the casino. Nakatomi Tony is living proof that applying the core concepts will allow you to live a casino-enhanced lifestyle, and that's what this is all about. Finally, any minute now, we are going to reach a big milestone, or at least a big milestone to me. There's a very good chance that if you listen to this podcast the day it was published, you are the 1,000th stream or download of this content. Regardless of if you are the first download or number 200,000, thank you so very much for listening. 100,000 is a big number for niche content like mine. I am very grateful, very thankful, very appreciative. All right, every episode I put together a little something I call the battle plan, the segments we're going to enjoy during this episode. Here in episode 175, we're going to start with a core concept segment and discuss the subtle changes in blackjack basic strategy that happen when you move from a table where the dealer hits soft 17 to a table where the dealer stands on all 17s. Then Mrs. TRG is going to join us for an Oasis segment and share her thoughts on the pool deck on MSC Meraviglia. Then I have a new Padawan parable to share with you, the Padawan, the Path, and the Unicorn Trickster. Then we will do that Atlantic City travel segment before finishing up in the virtual VIP lounge with some sips and a story about the squad having lunch in an actual VIP lounge where proof of age and ID were required. Well, sort of. It was a bit of an adventure. All right, let's get started with a Core Koncepts segment.
I am so excited for this spa day. Candles lit, music on, hot tub warm and ready. And then my chronic hives come back. Again, in the middle of my spa day. What a wet blanket. Looks like another spell of itchy red skin. If you have chronic spontaneous urticaria or CSU, there is a different treatment option. Hives during my next spa day? Not if I can help it. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
If you are unfamiliar with the core concepts of casino combat, I will refer you to a blog post about them on our website, casinocombat.com, as well as to the boot camp playlist on YouTube that I just mentioned a few minutes ago. In both places, you will get an explanation of all the core concepts. But one of the core concepts is to make wagers with a very low house advantage. And in most casinos, blackjack has the lowest possible house advantage of any game that gives tier points in a reasonable way, as long as you use basic strategy. But basic strategy changes based on the rule set used by the specific table that you are playing. And one of the conversations that occurred repeatedly, both on the blackjack cruise and in Atlantic City, revolved around how basic strategy changes depending on one very common rule variation. On some tables, the felt will say, dealer must hit soft 17 and stand on all 18s, which is to say that if the dealer has a hand of ace and 6, or ace 2, 4, or any other combination, that hand is either a 7 or a 17, and the dealer will draw additional cards until they get to a hard 17 or better as their hand. This rule variation gives a slight additional advantage to the house when compared to other variations, about 2%. Felt that says the dealer must stand on all 17s is the less common variation, and that means that if the dealer is showing a 6 and flips over an ace, the hand is over and wagers will be paid or collected. The difference in house advantage, as I said, is about 2%, a fraction of a percentage point. Not enough to generally matter when selecting a table, but the way that the player uses the extra small advantage that the house standing on all 17s provides is by playing correct basic strategy, and correct basic strategy does change slightly between those two different tables. As I said, this was a frequent topic of conversation on the cruise and in Atlantic City, so I wanted to take just a minute today and look at the plays that change when the rules change. If you are just learning to play blackjack, here is my advice. Go to wizardofodds.com and print the basic strategy chart for a 4 to 8 deck shoe game where the house hits soft 17. Those tables are by far the currently most common available tables that you will find. Most casinos in North America that I have been in offer that game, and most of them offer it with a 3 to 2 blackjack payout, which is the only tables that you should play. Once you have that table memorized, you just need to remember a few variations if you end up on a table where the house stands on all 17s. For soft hands, and that's where you're going to find the changes, the strategy changes as followed. A soft 18 versus a dealer's 2. When the dealer hits soft 17, the optimal play is to double down if permitted. It yields a higher average profit, 11.6 cents per dollar, as opposed to standing, which is 11.3 cents. You are seeing that these are very, very small changes, but it's in those small changes that we make use of that advantage. However, when the dealer stands on all 17s, standing becomes the better play, offering a higher average profit, 12.4 cents, then doubling down, which is 12.1 cents. This adjustment aligns the strategy for soft 18 versus 2 with the standard play for soft 18 versus 3, 4, 5, and 6, where doubling down is recommended. To say that a different way, when the rule changes, you not only double on 3, 4, 5, and 6, you also double when the dealer is showing a 2. Soft 19 versus a dealer 6. And boy, this gets me eyebrow raises. This gets me conversation when I do this at a blackjack table, and I do. You've got a soft 19, an 8 and an ace, 19 total. The dealer has a 6. Most people are thinking, I'm great, I'm set, I've got 19. The average winning hand in blackjack is 18.4. I've got 19, I'm good. But when the dealer hits soft 17, doubling down is the optimal play, providing an average profit of 46.2 cents per dollar, which is better than standing, which is 45.2. One extra penny. One extra penny. Conversely, when the dealer stands on all 17s, standing is the better option, yielding an average profit of 49.4 compared to 48.0 cents. And obviously, I had some help from Kismet on that one. She helped crank out by numbers. By far, the most important thing to remember is that when the rules change, the strategy changes. And now you know, and knowing is half the battle. Next, Mrs. TRG is going to join us for an Oasis segment.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Oasis segment of our Casino Combat podcast. I'm so glad to be back. I know it's been a while, but I'm so glad to be back to review our recent cruise aboard the MSC Meraviglia. First of all, the ambience on features. This ship particularly had 3 different pools. The main pool was very loud. It was just a kind of a large rectangle, but actually it had like 2 pools kind of connected by a shallow area in the middle, so you could kind of walk in between there. The one day when I was laying out by this pool, I got really, really hot as it was very, very warm. And I went to go jump into the pool thinking that I was going to touch the bottom. But no, much to my surprise, both sides of this pool were very deep, about 6 feet deep. And me only being 5'2", I had to swim my way to the shallow area where I could sit and relax into the cool water. They also had some very large loungers, kind of on the order of a daybed, that surrounded the pool area. Because this was the main pool, it was very loud, where there was DJs and music playing. It was also very smoky, as it was on the star side of the ship, so smoking was allowed in this area. Around in the shaded area, there were just a lot of tables and chairs, not a lot of lounge chairs that you could sit in, overlooking outside into the ocean. The other pool was called the Bamboo Pool, which was a rectangle. Nothing very fancy about it, but it was about 5 feet deep also. And it had 2 larger hot tubs on either side of the pool. And then it had some very small hot tubs. Only about 4 people could fit into those hot tubs. Nothing really fancy about this area. It was just a regular pool area. And it also had a deck above it too that had lots of tables and chairs, more so in the shade area there. And then they also had a few pool tables and foosball tables that you could play if you were up on that deck area above that pool. Then there was the adult pool, the solarium, which was at the front of the ship. This pool was very small also, just as a rectangle. It was 3 tiers up, so 3 levels up, which was very nice. But the whole area in general, what I felt was kind of on the smaller side All the lounge chairs were in the sun. There really was no shaded area if you were looking to get out of the sun. They had a very strange decor in this pool area also. It was a very large, voluptuous woman looking like she's ready to dive in the pool. I never saw that before and thought that was kind of strange to have that type of decor there in the adult area. But oh well, to each his own, I guess. And then also the running track was also going through this area too. So even though it was all adults, you often had kids running through the area, running on the running track, which I was not a fan of either. They only had one hot tub up there, so it got a little bit crowded. But I must say kudos to the staff on the ship, because being this as an adult area only, there were some families that came in with their small children, and they went into the hot tub with their small children and their swim diapers and such. And the cruise ship staff did come over and remind those adults that this was an adult area and that they needed to take their children to one of the other pools that were for children. So I really appreciated them paying attention to that kind of detail. They also had a bar up there just for the adult area too, which was very nice. You didn't have to go outside the area if you wanted an adult beverage. They also had at the back of the ship an aqua park for kids. I did not venture up there. Unfortunately, that's where all the water slides were hidden too, at the back of the park. As I said, there was an area for the kids there with some slides and some squirty guns and the dump it buckets, which all those little kids love to have. And since the slides were back there, and I didn't get back there this time, I know, I love the water slides. I love the adventure, and I always go down them. But this time, I just didn't feel the need to do it. So I guess that just means that I'm going to have to go back on another cruise and check out the water slides. So for ambiance and features, I rated this a 3 out of 5. My next area is easy access. I rated it a 5 out of 5. Pools are all easy to access to up the elevator, and they're all kind of connected just through a little bit of walkways. Food and beverage, I rated a 4 out of 5. They do have the buffet up in that same deck area. I did like the idea that they had a little snack and go by the main pool area, in which they had ice cream, chicken fingers, burgers, fries, and the fixings and everything, which I thought was kind of nice up there also, that you didn't have to go into the buffet if you wanted to bring pool out to your pool deck area. You could just go have a snack and go. They had lots of bars around and that you could also go up to and get your adult beverage. I didn't see a lot of service people coming around taking some drink orders. But what was really kind of cool, though, because it was so hot outside also, that some of the staff members the one day were walking around with some cool towels and passing out cool towels that you could just put over your face to help you cool down a little bit, since the pools were very crowded as the ship had lots of people on it. So food and beverage, I rated a 4 out of 5. The overall vibe, I gave a 4 out of 5. I don't know, it was very, very crowded, very nice, but there was just nothing super special or super spectacular about the whole thing. So an overall vibe of 4 out of 5. So that gives a final review rating of 16 out of 20. Agree or disagree? Doesn't matter. I'm just the wife of a Ramblin Gambler. Which brings us to TRG. We'll be back next with a Padawan parable. Till next time.
Padawan! Oh, Anakin.
Master!
My young Padawan learner.
You're reckless, little one. You never would have made it as Obi-Wan's Padawan. But you might make it as mine.
The parable of the Padawan, the path, and the unicorn trickster. A Padawan walked the path alone, through familiar lands and among familiar faces. No real instruction was needed. He stopped at a familiar casino in hopes of collecting a quick win and returning to his journey. He played a couple of shoes of blackjack and was granted several victories. He started what would be his final shoe, feeling refreshed and having collected almost a day's pay. After several hands, he set aside his winnings and his buy-in and started a 3-chip exit. When those chips were gone, he would have the win he wanted and return to the path. He wagered and lost the first chip. He was using his version of win more, keep more, so his next wager was the last 2 chips from his 3-chip exit stack. He was dealt a 7 and a 4, and the dealer had a 9 showing. The Padawan had no choice but to reach into his previous winnings and double his hand, believing that if he lost, he would still be done. He would be a bit short of his day's pay, but that would be acceptable. He was dealt a 3 for a total of 14 on his double, not a strong hand against a dealer's 9. Things were not looking favorable. The dealer revealed a 2 underneath for a total of 11, then drew a 2 for 13, followed by an ace for 14, followed by a 2 for 16, and finally another 9 to bust his hand. As the Padawan collected his chips, he returned the 2 chips he had used for his double to his winning stack, along with the 2 chips he had won. He built a new stack of 4 chips to continue playing, and put the remaining chips in the stack that would go with him when he returned to the path. Something bumped his shoulder and he looked back. The unicorn winked at him from over his shoulder. The Padawan won his next hand, hitting a hard 16 against a dealer's 7 and drawing a 4. He looked back and the unicorn had brought his grove with him. Birds chirped. The air smelled sweet. The Padawan won the next 3 hands with natural 20s, adding to both his small play stack and to the stack he would be leaving with. He looked back and saw that a Pegasus had joined the unicorn in the grove. They were playing dominoes. A new shoe was started and the Padawan was tired and hungry. He was ready for a break. The first hand of the new shoe began. The dealer was dealt a soft 17 against a dealer's 10. He hit and received a 3 for a total of 21. He looked back and the unicorn was ordering an espresso martini. The Padawan tried to flag down the waitress for a water, but she quickly moved on. The Padawan's next hand was a soft 16 versus a dealer's 5. He doubled and was dealt a 4 for a total of 21. The Pegasus was ordering a margarita, but once again, the Padawan was unable to get a water. A band started to set up in the grove. The shoe continued and the Padawan continued winning. The table was now crowded. Everyone was winning. Friends of players had arrived to watch. The Padawan had been adding chips to both stacks, the chips he was playing with and the chips he would take when he left. He realized he was close to having an 8-unit play stack. A few more wins and he could double his bet size and still have a 4-unit play stack. The unicorn ordered a meatball sub and another espresso martini. Apparently the Grove waitstaff also took food orders, even though the Padawan couldn't get a water. The new shoe started and the Padawan lost the first hand. But the next hand was a 2-unit wager and he received a blackjack. 2 more units were added to his win stack and 1 to his play stack, which now stood at 8 units. It was time for the Padawan to increase his unit size. His next wager was a double unit, a pair of 8s versus a dealer's 10. Not the Padawan's favorite hand to split, but he did, receiving a 3 on the first hand for a total of 11, which he doubled, receiving a 5 for a total of 16. The second hand, he was dealt a 10 for a total of 18. Not strong hands. The dealer had a 5 under their card and drew an 8 to bust. Looking back, the unicorn nodded and sipped his martini. A few hands later, the Padawan doubled his 10 against a dealer's 6 and drew a 10. A strong hand. The dealer drew 6 cards to 21. The Padawan made a double-sized 2-unit wager and received a blackjack. The dealer checked under their 10 and also had a blackjack, a push. The Padawan's next hand was 19 versus a dealer's 8 showing. The dealer had a 2 under and drew a 10 for a total of 20, another loss. The Padawan bet the last 2 chips from his play stack, confident that 2 wins would make things right. After all, he was in the unicorn's grove. He was dealt a 2 and a 3 for a total of 5 versus a dealer's up card of 10. Eventually, the Padawan drew enough cards to build a 5-card 19. The dealer turned over a 10 for 20. The Padawan had lost his exit chips. As he counted up, he realized the Pegasus was gone, the Grove was gone, the unicorn was gone. The unicorn had been present for almost an hour and a half, for almost 3 entire shoes. The few chips the Padawan wanted to win had grown into an immense stack. The day's pay he wanted to win was now several days' pay. The Padawan was tired, thirsty, hungry, ready for a break, and ready to return to the path. The unicorn's timing had been, let's call it, interesting. The young lion's favorite teacher says, "We have ears, say cheers." One of my favorite teachers says, if you have ears, you should listen. Here ends the lesson. I was just in Atlantic City. Let's do a travel segment so I can tell you all about it. One of my goals with my gambling is to be able to travel mostly free or mostly for free based on my play. I want to use several casino brands and cruise lines as a vacation club that pays me. Last week, I was reading posts in the Slack Virtual VIP Lounge, the best secret gamblers club that you can ever hang out in. And if you want in, listen to episode 22. It explains a game that we play in which you need to determine the name of a real-world casino. Do that. Send me the answer by email to trg@casinocombat.com. Spell combat with a K. Answer that little riddle. Then find Nakatomi Tony, Equine Ensign, or Same Bet in the real world. That's not as hard to do as it sounds. And ask them for an invitation to our secret club. It's as easy as that. We'd love to have you join us in our virtual VIP lounge on Slack. Hang out with some of the smartest gamblers I have ever met. It is a wonderful thing. So notice how secret it is. I just told you how to join. Anyway, I'm rambling. I was reading some posts in the Slack Virtual VIP Lounge, and I realized that many squad members were going to be in Atlantic City on Monday and Tuesday for the 10 times tier credit multiplier week that Caesars was doing. I'd been wanting to get back to Atlantic City. Nakatomi Tony and I hatched a plan for me to secretly drive in on Sunday and then spend Monday and Tuesday surprising squad members who knew that Tony was going to be in town, but didn't know or wouldn't know that I was going to be there as well. I had a room comp available at Harrah's where NT was staying, compliments of my bosses at Premier Casino Hosting. Mrs. TRG would not be able to go with me, and she was concerned about my ability to make the 8-hour drive solo, but she also understood the logic of the trip. Comped room, low food costs because it would just be me and I would eat cheap, squad members to hang out with, and the 10 times tier credits to be earned. I very literally spent 3 days adjusting my sleep schedule and adjusting my diet to prepare to do the drive by myself. And the drive ultimately was fairly easy, and I recorded a series of short videos along the way talking about the trip. I'll edit those together and get them posted to the new Spotify video subscription channel in the next day or two. The video channel is also where you find the track, the Tactical Results Analysis Creation Kit, a video that shows you how to create your own tool for recording and analyzing casino results in real time using free online resources and tools. I'm going to use that service to show things like chip stacking and slot play, as well as document a bit more of what living a casino lifestyle is like, the good and the bad in that regard. Anyway, my room at Harrah's was great. Automated check-in was easy. I intended to just play a short session on Sunday night and then meet Nakatomi Tony early for a long crap session on Monday morning. I'll blame it on the drive, I guess, or the alcohol perhaps. I was tired. I made some bad choices and got way off plan. The first buy-in, the only one I was going to do, was gone quickly. I did a Meta Martingale buy-in and lost that as well. I did win some money playing slots, won some money back, the start of a great slot machine trip for what it's worth, and I decided to spend some time at the craps table. Just hang out and at least run up some 10 times tier points. Simple, easy stuff. Not gonna go crazy, but what happened? Point, big red, out. Point, big red, out. Point, big red, out. 3 shooters in a row. So much for just hanging out and getting some points. I played one more blackjack table and had a nice winning run, finishing the evening down about 1 day's pay. So not horrible, and in the rearview mirror, it's fine. The intent was to play one table, and in the end, I lost the equivalent of buying in at one table. I made up most of the rest of the stupidity with a strong finish. Monday was a long day of gambling in the very best of ways. I met NT for a morning crap session. I started out doing play all day, but I realized after some introductions that NT made that there was a large group of Atlantic City craps players at the table. Good shooters, long rolls. I was using the wrong strategy for a table like this. My thought was I should be playing for profit, not for time on table. I played at exactly the wrong time, or I should say I changed how I played at exactly the wrong time. After watching everyone at the table have long rolls, including myself, and I was doing play all day and not making any money, I switched to 110 inside, and then I would get one hit and drop down and then just collect and press. I survived 3 more PSOs and went to breakfast. Not a strong start for this day. I went and grabbed a cinnamon roll, checked my messages, checked my emails, met back up with Nakatomi Tony, and he told me that Questing Scholar had texted him, and we knew where we were going to meet them. So we're walking down this long hallway. There's Questing Scholar, there's Espresso King, and the surprise on Questing Scholar's face was absolutely worth the time it took to drive over. As he told it, he saw Nakatomi Tony. That's what he expected. Then he saw the vest. Then he saw the boots. Then he saw the rig. And he was totally surprised. And of course, we swore them to secrecy. We didn't want Espresso King to jump into the Slack channel and let other people know I was there. We wanted to keep up the surprise. We went and found a blackjack table so we could spend some time playing blackjack together. But the table we wanted was full and another table hadn't opened yet. So I played some Mo Mummy, which was a slot machine that was nearby, and on the second press at the highest dollar amount you could wager, at the $7.50 wager, I got a mummy and a gem and collected and collected and collected. A nice big win. Almost enough to offset the entire loss at the craps table with one slot win. And this was the start of some wonderful slot play for the rest of the trip. And then I got a chance to join Questing Scholar at the blackjack table. And that's when the unicorn showed up, as we just talked about, as we just had a parable about. The unicorn showed up. And at the end of that table, I am up for the trip, and I never ever looked back after that. I had some lunch with Nakatomi Tony, went up to the room and did some work, booked some guests for some future trips, made some IT calls. Then an afternoon of small wins at the craps table and more winning slot plays. Just taking, as I told Nakatomi Tony, snack-sized bites of the apple and adding to my wins, adding to my wins, adding to my wins for most of the rest of the afternoon. We met Double Down 21 in person for the first time while playing some craps. Later in the day, I got to hear some of his origin story. He got the points he needed to reach Diamond before he was forced to leave Atlantic City and go back to the real world for some work that was demanding his attention. I had dinner with Nakatomi Tony, and he had decided that while he had planned on 4 sessions, he was only going to play 3 because he was happy with his profit for the day, and he'd accomplished his goal of getting enough points that he would be Diamond in Caesars. And I've got to tell you, that means he's Diamond for the rest of this year. He's Diamond for all of next year. That means no resort fees when he stays over. And he will tell you that he never ever thought that he would be Diamond with Caesars. Now, Equine Ensign and I, we were pretty sure that with his access to multiplier days, he could do it easily. He's now seen it for himself. A few visits on the right days, the right play plan, and he's now achieved Diamond status with Caesars, a status that he can use to match other places, a status that's going to get him plenty of opportunities at other rewards and other benefits. I decided I was going to do one more evening session after dinner. But as much as I wanted to keep playing and keep accumulating points, I was also going to protect the win that I had at this point. It was a nice enough win that I was not going to mess it up. I was going to make sure I went home with a profit of some type. I was going to make sure that happened. So I played a little craps. It didn't go well. I played several slot machines, collecting more wins along the way, and then I decided to wrap it up. The next day, I met Nakatomi Tony. We headed over to the Ocean Resort and Casino where we were going to meet Inner Circle member, East Coast Emissary, PhD, Fourth to the Ring, and Atlantic City Empress, and surprise them. And surprise we did. They thought they were meeting Nakatomi Tony. Nakatomi Tony thought they were going to be coming up an escalator. We were positioned for them to come up the escalator, and they surprised us by coming in through an alternate entrance that they knew about. And once again, they saw Tony. And then as they got closer, I stepped out from behind Tony and they met me or saw me, and it was a wonderful surprise for them. And I was so happy to see them, so happy in a small way to celebrate their anniversary with them. And then we went and did something I have never done before. We played casino bingo. I've never played bingo in a casino before, and here's why. Gambling used to not be legal in my state. And historically, every time someone tried to legalize gambling in my state, opposition came from several places. Opposition came from the hospitality industry. Opposition came from Penn Gaming, which had licenses in surrounding states, and they wanted to keep those licenses. And opposition came from the Catholic Church that operated a large number of bingo games as fundraisers around the state. So the people that were going to wanted to try to pass gambling in my state were very strategic. The first thing they did was they went to Penn Gaming and they said, don't oppose us, join us. We will split the gambling licenses. You will get half the gambling licenses and we will get half the gambling licenses. And that neutralized Penn Gaming. Then they went to the hospitality industry and they said, we are writing our amendment to the Constitution such that casinos will not be allowed to have hotels. Now, I will tell you that's bad for the players, but that got the hospitality industry to not oppose the amendment to the Constitution. And then they went to the Catholic Church and they said, look at our amendment. Look at what we are writing. It specifically says casinos will not be allowed to offer bingo as a form of gambling. And that neutralized the Catholic Church, and they no longer acted in opposition. And with the field cleared, with all of the people who had traditionally opposed gambling in my state now on board, the amendment passed and we got gambling, but we don't have any bingo. And so I have never played casino bingo. What a fun time it was. We walked in, we got to go to the front of the line because Dr. ECE has the right colored card. We went in. I was in as Tony's guest. Nakatomi Tony was happy to host me and let me join for bingo. They gave us a beverage. They gave us a snack. We found a table in a great big auditorium, and we played multiple games of bingo with multiple rules, and each one had some type of free play and some type of, in some cases, cash prize available. The final game was to cover all the spots for a cash prize of $5,000. It was a wonderful comp. It was a wonderful comp for them to receive. Nice of them to bring me along on their comp and let me see what it was all like. If I lived in the area, I would do this every time it was offered. It was a wonderfully cool way to spend an hour, be in a casino environment, have a chance to win some money. Really, really thrilled that they included us. After that, 6 of us, because Questing Scholar and Espresso King joined, 6 of us went to lunch in the Ocean VIP Lounge. I am going to tell you about that in just a few minutes. It is a story suitable for the virtual VIP lounge, and that is where I will tell it. When I parted company with everybody, ACE and ECE, they were going up to play another round of bingo. A very smart move on their part because Dr. ECE had an invitation which they used for the first session, and Atlantic City Empress had an invitation that they used for the second session, each one bringing the other as a guest, so they got to double dip on the bingo. I headed back to Harrah's for an afternoon of solo gambling, gaining points but protecting my win and getting to bed early So I had some slot wins. It included a long session of playing a slot machine bonus feature using TRG4. And if you're not familiar with that, there are some slot machines I am discovering through the help of the squad where you can just say, I'm buying a bonus feature. And I may win and I may lose on the bonus feature, but we're just going to do the bonus feature. And I have discovered that with a relatively small buy-in, I can play TRG4 on a slot machine playing bonus features only. And if you want to see that, if you want to understand that, go to Spotify, subscribe to the video channel. I have a video there that I made on the cruise ship where I showed how I can use a slot machine and still play TRG4, win more, keep more. Now, unfortunately, I did not get that last big night that you might like to have. Didn't have a lot of luck on the craps table. Did have some luck playing slots and won some money and realized it was time to be done. I wasn't going to get the last big night run, and that's okay. I was done and in bed early, ready to make that drive home. The next day, I met Dr. ECE and Atlantic City Empress at the original Gilcrest, a local breakfast spot. Had wonderful pancakes, unique pancakes, really great breakfast, and I got on the road and made the trip back. And I want to share those results with you that I had from a gambling point of view. And I'm glad I'm able to do this once again. And I'm able to do this because just like a Jedi builds a lightsaber, I built Track. I built a tool that I can use to record my results quickly and easily and then have a dashboard to run down the results with you. And I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it to the point of boredom and repetition. If you're in casinos regularly, Track is a wonderful tool. I have files you can download on the website in the Fred section. I have a video you can watch in the Spotify on the video subscription side that shows you step by step how to build this tool for yourself. So let's look at how we did. This is just results for my time in Atlantic City. And we're going to do all of this in days pay amount converted to the if I earn $1 a day scale. We're going to do all of this as if in a day I earned $1. And we do this because we all know what we earn in a day. And we all know how that would impact our lives if we had more or less days pay in our lives. And it doesn't matter if your day's pay is $5 or your day's pay is $50,000. You still know what it takes you to earn a day's pay. I think we can all relate to this. So profit and loss for table games in the $1 a day process. If I earned $1 a day, multiply this by your day's pay to get your number. $1.32. 1 1/3 day's pay from table games play. Slots. This is slots with my own money. This is slots with cash. I won $2.47. 2.5 days pay. One playing slots. That's amazing. Show me somebody else that has a system that does that. I played machine after machine after machine using TRG slot strategy El Numero Dos. If you're not familiar, go to the website, go to the Fred section, download Casino Combat Slot Tactics. It is a free ebook. And I challenge you, find some other gambler that's figured out a way to beat slot machines. And if you find that person that's figured out how to beat slot machines to this level, to this consistency, find out if they'll tell you for free how they did it. I did. I do not need to charge you money to know this strategy. It's all out there. It's all available. Go to the website. $2.47. 2.5 days pay playing slot machines. I paid for the trip just playing slot machines in terms of the time I took off work. Free slot play. I got some free slot play, a total of 2 cents worth in the $1 a day scale of free slot play, and I won 2 cents in the $1 a day scale playing that free slot play. My total profit or loss from gambling is a profit of $3.82. Now, I did have almost a day's pay in expenses, so my profit or loss after expenses is $2.87. I received $1.67 in comps. I received 13 cents in free bets. And I received, unfortunately, no gifts. I would have. I was just about an hour and a half late to receive a gift at Harrah's when I got there. But I came really close to also getting a gift. And this is what I mean when I talk about living a casino-enhanced lifestyle. I went to Atlantic City, where I have not been in, 7, 8, 9, 10 months. Got a room, got free play, got free slot play, almost got a gift, finished up with a profit. The total value in my life for this short, basically 2 days and an evening of time in Atlantic City, is $4.69 of value into my life. Let's break things down just a little more, because I've got my track set up to do all of this. The wonderful thing about the track tool is that you can build it, once you understand it, to track exactly the information you want to track. So I played a total of 16 blackjack tables during the time that I was there. My total winning tables, 10. My losing tables, 6. A little over 3 days pay, 1. Actually approaching 4 days pay, 1. Playing blackjack. Crap side, not so good. I had 5 craps attempts. 1 of them was a winning attempt. 4 of them were losing attempts. Roughly 2 days lost playing craps. And I gotta tell you, I'm happy with my craps journey. I'm happy with what I've learned about the game. I'm happy having it as a second game in my life, or a third game after slots in my life. But I am still not very good at it, and we saw it there. A little over 2 days pay lost playing craps, but got a lot of points doing it. Got a win for the trip. Not unhappy about it. Listen to this number, folks. Listen to this number, and I am bragging, and I'm not being humble. Tell me who else can do this. I mean, you can if you learn how I do it, and I've given it away for free, but tell me who else can do this. I played 19 slot machines using TRG slot strategy El Numero Dos. 19 machines. 14 of them winning. 5 of them losing machines. 14 and 5. Those are numbers that'll get you into the NFL playoffs if you can do them as an NFL team. An incredible run of slot play. More than 2 days pay, 1. Absolutely an incredible trip. So happy that I went. A nice profit. Not a problem taking a couple days off my IT job, because we more than covered that money. A great example of what is possible with some basic casino skills. 7 squad members, all in Atlantic City, all there on comps at multiple properties, all collecting free play, free bets, comped bingo, comped meals, celebrating live events. And not everyone won every table or every day. Not everyone wins on every trip, but that's not the goal. The goal is to win the month, and then to win more months than you lose. I had a rough first day, partially because I got off plan. But eventually the unicorn showed up, even if his timing was not my first choice, and I ended up with a win. And I ended up with a win to protect to finish up my trip. If you're new here, stick around. Most of the squad members in Atlantic City were new here at some point as well, and they learned, and we became a squad, and we became friends, and the skills that we have allow us to have trips like this and do them together. All right, let's head to the virtual VIP lounge. I've got a story from Atlantic City to go with our sips. Please make sure you bring ID, because I assure you that for this one, you need a valid ID, you need proof of age. It's going to be a good one.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Welcome to the most must-listen-to segment in casino lifestyle podcasting, the Virtual VIP Lounge. Our lounge is open, and we have the best virtual everything, virtually all the time. Best virtual food and drink served in any virtual VIP lounge, anywhere on the interwebs. Guaranteed or your money back.
All right, Fred, thank you for setting that up. I really appreciate it. As always, everybody, welcome to our virtual VIP lounge. If you can, press pause. pour yourself something to drink. I got a little bit of a VIP lounge story for you here, and I've got to tell you that one of the best parts about VIP lounges is doing what we got to do. Hanging out with friends, having some food, having some cocktails. The lounge at Ocean pours a wonderful Washington apple martini. Dr. ECE recommended them, and you cannot be wrong on that. If he recommends them, they're always great. They were in this case. The food was great. Wonderful lounge. Absolutely beautiful. Wonderful company. After bingo, we met Questing Scholar and Espresso King, and that means 6 people, including myself and Nakatomi Tony, are trying to get into the lounge, which means we need 3 people with the right card access and the right points, each bringing a guest. Questing Scholar's a guest. Espresso King's a guest. I'm a guest. ECE swipes in. His guest is Questing Scholar. Atlantic City Empress swipes in. Her guest is Espresso King. Nakatomi swipes in. I'm his guest. And the lady at the podium says, your card is expired. You need to go get a new card. And now we're a bit confused because obviously his swipe is going to show the correct tier and the correct level and the correct points. But she is adamant. He will need to go down and get a properly dated player's card, proper ID required, and ultimately proof of age required, but he doesn't have proper ID in the case of a rewards card with the correct date. He's going to have to go down to rewards, and he's going to have to get a new card. So not a problem. I will just step to the side and wait for him to come back. It's not going to take long. It's not going to be a big deal. So I go one way, the rest of the group goes a different way, and a member of the staff looks at me and looks at them and says, no, you all need to go stand over here. You need to go stand by this table. Okay, not a problem. Not a big deal. Happy to accommodate, happy to help. So we're all standing over there. And now another attendant comes up and waves to us and says, party of 6, right this way. So we're just trying to go along to get along. So we all go over and we're all seated. And the waitress comes over and she knows ACE and ECE PhD. And she says, what are we having to drink today? And so we all order waters. And ECE orders a Washington Apple Martini, and I order a Washington Apple Martini, and we order a Washington Apple Martini for Nakatomi Tony. All good. We're just kind of waiting. We're just kind of hanging out. And then I get a text from Nakatomi Tony, and he says his driver's license expired on his birthday. It was one day before. And his new ID had not yet arrived in the mail because that's the way New Jersey does things. And so the reward desk won't issue him a new rewards card without proper ID and proof of age. And so he sends me a text from downstairs and explains it all and says, I'm sorry, buddy, no lounge today. So this is weird now, right? And I guess the hero thing to do would have been for me to leave. But my Washington Apple Martini was just delivered, and so was his Washington Apple Martini. And it seemed strange and weird to pick up these 2 martinis that we're not supposed to have and walk out. And so I made a phone call down to Tony, and I said, they already seated us. They already poured me a drink. They already poured you a drink. I think just take the crook move. Make a strong entrance. Walk in. Come on. Just say, oh, I'm meeting my friends over there, and the table will be there, and they're probably... So he did. He just walked in strong, acted like he was supposed to be there, sat down, joined us, had a great lunch, and in the end, proper ID and proof of age were not required in any way, shape, or form, and the squad had a great time.
Please, tip your waitresses, tip your bartenders, tip your dealers. If you have a host, tip your host, but don't tip away your wins. TRG has spoken. Everything you heard here is true from a certain point of view. In 10 years, we may find out he was wrong about all of this. It's time for leaving, and I hope you understand. TRG was born a ramblin' man. Love it, hate it, it don't matter. Please share with your family and friends. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening. The best part of the podcast is next. The Casino Combat Blues. Thank you again to Fish Audio for providing my glorious voice. Special thank you to my original actress, author, Julia Tverdovskaya.
For Atlantic City Empress, Casino Combat's ace.
There are profits in the casino tonight, I can feel it in my bones. I had a premonition, you should probably play alone. I know the house has that advantage, but that's part of the thrill. If we follow the core concepts, the chips begin to spill. So baby, here's your player's card, put your bankroll in your hand. Use just some of that money now, do it just the way we planned. Just follow the core concepts, and you could win several grand. Well, it's good if it goes down like that, don't have to play to lose. It's gambling as a business, the Casino Combat Blues. Casino Combat Blues. The dealers and the pit bosses, the security and the law, the winning and the losing and the tricks nobody saw. No matter if it's blackjack, roulette or craps, you gotta carry defense, cause you always carry cash. There's lots of shady characters, lots of dirty deals. Everybody has an alias, cause that's more fun we feel. It's the lure of winning money, it's got a very strong appeal. Perhaps you'd understand it better standing in my shoes. It's the ultimate enticement, it's the Casino Combat Blues. Casino Combat Blues. Whoa. You don't see it in the headlines, you don't hear it every day. No one's trying to stop us, and we don't need to go away. We can gamble in Atlantic City, we can gamble in LA, we can gamble out in Vegas. I mean, we're here to stay. Gambling's propping up the budgets of folks like me and you. You ask any casino manager, he'll say there's nothing he can do. From the pockets of the casino right down to me.